Are you playing Russian roulette when it comes to your food choices and your chronic health symptoms?
It's time to say no to guesswork and yes to certainty when it comes to your food. Let's talk about it.
Here we go. Welcome everybody to the Road to Food Freedom Week, and we have been going live every single day at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time. Those of you who've been watching us and subscribed to our YouTube channel know that when we schedule it, that we're coming live, you get notified. So if you're not already subscribed to our YouTube channel, head over to Maggie UMD. Look for that on YouTube and subscribe to the channel, ring the bell. That way you get notified every single day as we're heading on this road to food freedom. So far, yesterday, we did before we do that, I have something else to announce.
You have some announcements, Dr. Maggie. Don't get ahead
of announcements. Everybody who's watching live right now, can you type in chat? Remember, I want to talk at you. I don't want to talk at you. I want to talk with you. Kathy and I do. And here's the thing. There's a bonus today, okay? Actually, this entire week at MYMD Shop, we are having 8 days of holiday savings where there is a new bundle, new collection that's on sale every single day to celebrate the holidays, number one. Number two is that I just wanted to say is that we're going to have a contest of sorts, okay? So today, during this entire week, there's doorbusters as well. And the doorbuster today, just so you guys know, is actually our best-selling product, which is Golden Balance, okay?
Wait. 5 golden balance
for love her 2, 3. So what I want to do is, this is one of our this is the doorbuster right now, and you're going to want to get a hold of this. This is a $62 value doorbuster at mymdshop.com. I'm going to have someone link in the comments so you can head over there and take advantage of the hormone collection today, which is the entire collection is on sale today. Just today. That's the deal of the day. And this is the doorbuster today. Now, for every comment that you put, this is for our live audience, in the comment section, you are entered into a drawing for Golden Balance today. So you guys know, I mean, this is our best selling product for a reason, because it is incredible for insomnia with sleep at night, because it really helps with blood sugar balancing and hormones. Okay. Yeah. So one scoop of this with some coconut milk and cream. Oh my gosh. Holy heck. I have so many videos around this. So if you love Golden Balance, type Golden Balance in chat. That's your comment. The great.
Every time you say Golden Balance, I want to break into song. So don't say it too much, or I might just keep interrupting with 5 golden
balance for love her 2, 3. Kathy actually challenged me last night with we were in a mastermind call working with some of our clients that are currently in our program. And I'm just going to say so far, I'm going to say so far no to it. Whatever that was, I'm just saying no to it.
Well, we got a little bet going. We got a little wager going. So you may just see Dr. Maggie, who claims to be the karaoke queen.
I said karaoke BFF. Hold on. Karaoke BFF is very different than the karaoke queen, okay?
I think I've heard karaoke queen too. You may just see her. Anyways, keep watch. I may just win a bet here.
All right. So everybody, if you're an alumni, if you're anybody watching anywhere right now in the comment section, light me up. Tell me where you're watching to. What kind of challenges have you had with food? Does the thought of the holidays bring major serious food stress, or are you saying yes to the dress? Okay. So what I would love to do is yesterday on the live, we talked about how elimination diets, are they the answer to all the food concerns that you have? And I mean, we're talking about symptoms that are dealing with, okay, how many of you in the audience, tell me in chat, are dealing with autoimmune issues like fibromyalgia, Sjogren's, lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, right? How many of you, right?
Dysautonomia, long haul.
POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, long haul, or have no diagnosis. Or you have no diagnosis. You're hoping and praying someone gives you a diagnosis and that's going to be the answer, right? If that and food matters, and food has some really big negative consequences right now. And that's why we call it food trauma, because that's what the word you guys use to tell us. I have literally have food trauma.
Mhm.
But that food can be part of the solution, but how?
Mhm.
And yesterday we explored why elimination diets don't work.
Yeah, and we brought up 5 main points because these are the things that we see all the time. And so we talked about the fact that elimination diets are generalized for everyone, but specific to nobody. So while they may sort of have a sprinkling of help, they're not detailed enough to actually work for people.
And look at this, right? LDJT is a really common. This gives me heartburn right here. Think about this. She says multiple sclerosis. Scientific fact. Anyone can spend 2 seconds on a Google search and know that no shit, multiple sclerosis is autoimmune, right?
Mhm.
But some people said MS isn't even autoimmune. Who? And sometimes it's even your doctors. This is
Mhm.
the level of actual like diagnostic ignorance out there. It's not just regular lay public, even doctors. I'll give you another example. Did you know diabetes is autoimmune?
Mhm. Yep.
Right? Did you know if you have low thyroid, how many of you have low thyroid out there? Nearly 90% of people with low thyroid, it is the cause of an autoimmune condition, which means your immune system is attacking your thyroid.
Mhm.
Okay. So the problem with a lot of these diagnoses and symptoms is doctors, it's number one, really hard to get the diagnosis. Number two, also, um, is that a lot of doctors don't even know that they're autoimmune or immune system related. And here's the thing, when your immune system gets involved, food gets involved.
100%. Yeah, because where is the majority of your immune system?
90% is actually in your gut.
Mhm.
Just
Why
so
are
you
you
guys
pointing to
know
your
that.
gut?
Well,
Your
because you
gut.
know what? But this is a good point. Is your gut just your tummy down here? Because a lot of
Well,
people just
true.
say, I don't have tummy
Yeah.
symptoms, so it's not my
Mhm.
gut. Well, the cells that line your gut actually go all the way up to the back of your eyeballs, the ears, so eustachian tube into the back of your throat, dental, gums, right, tongue. All of this is part of the gut system, to be honest. And all of this can be impacted by food, right?
Yeah.
And yesterday, when we were talking about elimination diet, we talked about how elimination diets are generalized to everybody and personalized to nobody.
Mhm.
And example would be yesterday we talked about how someone how can you just does it's like if you say everyone with fibromyalgia should be on diet X, should be on AIP diet, it's the same as saying everyone who's born on December 18th should have the exact same horoscope around the entire world. All million of you have the
What
exact same horoscope.
are you discounting horoscopes? Come on, Dr. Maggie. I thought you were a believer.
No, what I'm saying is that, well, actually, if you think that a horoscope for December 18th applies to every single person born December 18th, that is actually, think about that. Does that make any sense? Does that make any
Yeah.
sense? Right?
Yeah.
So elimination diets. If you're saying no to elimination diet, what can you say yes to? Because this is the road to food freedom, and we want to make it incredibly easy to really think about what can you say yes to? No to this, yes to what?
Yeah, and that gets into the second point that we talked about last time or yesterday was that elimination diets create too many restrictions, unnecessary restrictions.
Necessarily.
Unnecessary restrictions and often expanding restrictions. So people will start with, well, I'll just eliminate this, and then they'll eliminate this, and then they'll eliminate this because they're guessing. They don't actually know what food is triggering their symptoms. And so it's just this constant, like we were talking about, like a constant Russian roulette. So they continue to reduce and reduce and reduce their diet till sometimes they're only eating, like we often have clients in the program who come in and they're only eating 5 foods.
That's really common. How many can you guys write down the number of foods? I mean, there's some people that are down to a number of foods that are like what they can count on their fingers. How many of you guys are down to that low number of foods? And that's really unhealthy. I want you guys to know how unhealthy that is. Because if you're eliminating and guessing, and based on guessing, because last week it was broccoli and sesame, and so now I'm going to eliminate that. And then what you find that is many people are down to like 5, 6, 7 foods. Now, could that possibly be healthy for anyone to be down to 5 to 7 foods?
I'm gonna say hell no.
Yeah, hell no.
Say hell no. Yeah, because again, and then here's what happens though, is point number 3, people inadvertently eliminate all of these things
Mhm,
and they stick to a like a super healthy food, maybe like almonds, right?
mhm,
And almonds is one of their 5 foods that they're still eating.
mhm.
But that is often the one food, or often the one food that's a problem for people,
Yep.
right? Or might be the one food that's actually a problem for people. So they've got this completely restricted diet, but they're still eating something that isn't good for them
Well,
or
that's
their
Fiona, right?
Mhm.
Um, uh,
Yeah.
Fiona's example from yesterday was, when, a lot of people are saying, "I'm eating healthy, I'm doing all organic, I'm eating all these fruits or vegetables, all this stuff is good for me," right? Or, "I'm already on the AIP diet, so I'm eating all these things." In Fiona's case, example yesterday, it was, banana, kale, and almonds,
Mhm.
right? And those are healthy.
Mhm.
And then guess what she was having every single day in the morning?
In a smoothie. Yep. Correct.
Banana, kale, and almond milk,
Yep.
right? Does that make any sense, right, for you guys?
Mhm.
I wanna remind you guys as we're gonna go into this, there is a drawing happening today, and it's to highlight the 8 days of holiday savings over at MYMD Shop. And today, the doorbuster over there is Golden Balance, okay? And so I am raffling off a Golden Balance to anyone in the comments. As you're making comments, every comment counts as one entry in the drawing, and we're gonna draw one winner of Golden Balance today, just so you know. So blow us up in the comments. But anyway, back to the elimination diets and why they don't work. We went through a lot of different scenarios yesterday around that. But the thing
Yeah.
is, it's not about just no to something. I want to tell you, if you're going to say no to elimination diet, what do you say yes to? Because for a lot of people, that's scary
Mhm.
because they can go up and search and print out, or their doctor will recommend, oh, you should be on the GAPS diet or elimination diet, right? And then they're like, well, if I'm not going to do that, even if it doesn't work, okay, if I'm not going to, then what can I say yes to? Because today's about food certainty. What
Yeah.
can we give you certainty around? That's really lacking. Why people get into food trauma and food stress is fear, fear,
Mhm.
fear. And so, what's the opposite of fear? How about confidence, data, right? Data and confidence, right? What it takes for certainty to me is you got to build your own level of confidence and you need data to do that.
Mhm. Correct. Yeah. And the last 2 things we talked about yesterday were also, eating the healthy foods, which we kind of already talked about. But
Mhm.
then we also talked about the fact that elimination diets don't address other
Mm.
issues that could be going on, right? Maybe it's not a food allergen. Maybe there's some digestive issues going on. Maybe there's something else going on. So it doesn't matter. You could eliminate 100% of foods, right? And still have reactions. Well,
Well,
clearly
this
you're not
reminds
allergic
me.
to 100% of foods.
Well, this reminds me is because we see a lot of people come in and says, "I'm on a keto diet," or "I'm on a carnivore diet,"
Mhm.
and yet I'm not better, right? Or I might have
Or
initially
I'm
lost weight,
fasting.
but then now my every time I eat it, like I'm not feeling good, and then now they're removing all meat from their diet. And there was a case like this we brought up yesterday, and we see this all the time where somebody's like, "I'm allergic to all meat. I can't handle any meat." And then we actually do testing, and we'll go more into this
Mhm.
today about this case because what does it mean what does data look like? And what does it mean when you test positives for something? And what does it mean when you test negative for something? We're going to dig into that today. And this particular meat example, why Kathy brought it up, I think you're bringing it up because you're saying, if you're focused only on the allergy piece of this, there's a
Mhm.
whole other side missing that's a solution to this problem with food in the middle. Okay. In
Yeah.
order to say yes to address in the middle, two ends of the problem have to be dealt with. Number one, yes, we need data, confidence, experience around the science behind this on the right side with allergy and sensitivities, right? But what's
Mhm.
on the other side?
Yeah. Digestion. Right.
Digestion.
Well, and maybe what we should do is we could go through dairy, because
Ooh,
dairy is one of those things that we see a lot of different reactions and data points for, that I find fascinating because it's not with dairy, it's not an all or nothing, right? Or it's
yeah.
not.
So
as
But let's talk
clear.
about this. Let's talk
Yeah.
about this because there's so much subtlety here just picking the dairy thing. How many of you guys are off dairy or have been told to be off dairy for whatever the medical condition is? Type in chat. Tell me what the medical reason is because, it's really not uncommon for me for someone with IBS, colitis of some type, fibromyalgia to say, I've been told I should be totally off dairy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Sounds like a good idea, doesn't it? Right? It works for some people, doesn't it?
Mhm.
Right? And so that is an elimination diet right there, right? And the issue for me is that it doesn't usually work.
Mhm.
That's the issue is it doesn't bring the outcome or the result that the person doing it seeks to. And the question is why? And I think dairy is a really good example because did you know there's all these different scenarios for dairy?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, my favorite scenario is the one that I call nothing with a face scenario.
Well, but wait, right? Like before we go into nothing with a face, okay, is this. I'm just going to give you guys some basic background. Dairy is what? Most people think of dairy what? From a cow,
Mhm.
okay? Is there dairy from goat, from sheep? Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
Mhm.
I want you to understand just even dairy as a category, there are different animals that make milk. So when you say I'm going to eliminate all dairy, what do you mean? Right? Is it just cow dairy? Is it goat? Is it sheep? Does it matter? You betcha it could matter. You betcha it could
Absolutely.
matter, right? You could be sitting here eliminating just cow dairy when you need to be doing all dairy, for example, from other goats or other things. There's different type of scenarios. And there's some people that are like, oh, all dairy means that I'm going to eliminate dairy means I'm going to do cow and I'm going to do sheep. Or, there's all these different scenarios. And some people are like, what about butter, but not this or that, right? There's a lot of questions that come up to what does it mean when someone tells you to go off dairy?
Mhm.
Okay. And I'm going to tell you a couple things, just scientific background. Who wants scientific background? Write science in chat. Okay. Really quick training on this. Okay. Two major proteins or two different proteins that are major proteins found in all found in, let's say, cow's dairy products. Okay. And goat and sheep for that matter. But in cow's dairy, for example, using that as an example, casein is one of the proteins and whey is the other protein.
Mhm.
Okay. And depending on the dairy product, certain dairy products, way of processing will cause it to be very high in whey or very high in casein. Okay. Just so you know. So the amount of the protein in, for example, the amount of whey in butter is like next to none. The amount of whey in a glass of milk, tons.
Mhm.
Okay. So just thinking through different dairy products, depending on the stage of processing, fermentation, whatever you do with it, have different varying levels of protein. So if you're allergic to one of the proteins, but not the other, do you have to avoid all cow dairy products?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
I can't tell you how many times I'm working with someone and I'm
Yep.
like, they've been off dairy because they were told to just go off dairy. And we find out that, actually they're fine on butter. They can eat butter.
Yeah.
They can even eat some of the hard, like the older cheddars. They're okay with that.
Well, because
Um,
there's like no whey in it
mhm.
whatsoever.
Yep.
And even in butter and there's ghee.
Yeah.
Ghee is clarified butter, so the further like the clarification of that process with the ghee actually causes there to be basically no whey, no casein in it. So there's big difference between even ghee versus regular butter. Would it
Yep.
make a big difference for someone? Let's say somebody's like trying to be on a keto diet for weight loss, and now they actually have data sitting in front of them that says it's casein, it's whey, not casein. Would
Mhm.
that make a difference in the amount of food, the kind of food they eat, the diversity, the joy, the ability of them to cook, if they know it's just whey and not casein? Would that make a big difference?
Absolutely.
Right? That's one,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
But here's another scenario. I'm going to use Jonathan as my husband as an example, right? He has psoriasis on his skin, right? And has some pretty extreme reactions when he consumes dairy, right? And one of the first things he was told was eliminate dairy, right? And he eliminated all dairy products, right? And when he eliminates all dairy products, a lot better, right? However, upon actually testing, which is what we do in food mapping masterclass, you need
Mhm.
accurate testing and accurate data, everybody. Okay. And this is why we're talking about this. The accuracy of the data you get is really critical. No guess, no guesswork to elimination diet. How saying yes to your data map. That's what I call food mapping. It's your own personalized data map. What he found when I did the food mapping, the testing in the food mapping part of this was it was just cow dairy. He was totally okay with goat or sheep dairy. Do you know how much that saved his sanity?
Yeah.
And maybe even our marriage for him to be able to eat goat and sheep. It makes a big difference when you're sitting here and you're like, let's say dairy is like your absolute favorite thing, but to realize, oh my gosh, I'm saying no to cow dairy, but I can do goat or I can do sheep.
Mhm.
I mean, there's so much good goat and sheep cheese. There's goat butter. I mean, there's nothing missing, right? So does it make a big difference? The answer is yes. So can he now eat goat and sheep dairy, still have his love of dairy products, and still have no psoriasis outbreak?
Mhm.
Yes.
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 Right? In his case, he's not saying yes to the dress. He might be saying yes to the party hat he's wearing. So that's another example. You had an example. You were talking about the nothing with a face.
Yeah. So nothing with a face was
Oh,
a term we coined. Yes. Yes.
eyes without a face.
See,
Eyes without a face. I'm
see,
gonna make up words. Every
you
time
are
I say eyes without a face, I hear Billy Idol.
you are the karaoke queen. See, I told you.
BFF.
Okay, so nothing with a face. So when I say nothing with a face to some clients, they usually give me this really funny look. But actually, it's a really good way for them to remember. This is someone who has, if someone can't have dairy, nothing with a face, it means that any animal dairy is a problem for them. And like Dr. Maggie said, this isn't the most common scenario we see. Most people do fine on, based on their data, can eat sheep milk or drink sheep milk or have goat cheese or whatever. But nothing with a face is that whole line, right? No animal products at all. And those people, so I actually am working with someone right now, Rose. We just
Mm,
reviewed hers yesterday,
yep.
and she came up with like very, very high on all animal dairy products.
Yep.
Okay. And throughout her life, so Rose, she has rheumatoid arthritis.
Mhm.
And so I asked her, I said, had you eliminated dairy? And she said, well, no, not really. I'm sort of dairy light. Like I don't eat a lot of it. I just eat it sometimes.
Ooh, the dairy light, just like the gluten light people.
Yeah, dairy
Okay.
light. Okay.
Yeah.
And I said to her, well, what food reactions do you have? And she said, no food reactions. I have no food reactions. And this is a very common thing that people say to me because they don't understand or they're only thinking about digestive food reactions. So
Oh,
what she was telling me is when she eats milk, drinks milk or eats cheese or whatever, she doesn't have any digestive upset. So she automatically assumed, well, dairy's not really a problem, but I've heard maybe I shouldn't eat a ton of it. So I've gone dairy light. Well, when we looked at her food mapping results yesterday and
mhm.
saw this nothing with a face pattern, it was so clear. And she was blown away. She was like, I am shocked because I had no idea that has been contributing to her pain and inflammation for decades,
Big time. Big
right?
time. But that's the thing, though. A lot of people erroneously assume that food only causes gut GI symptoms.
Exactly.
And the vast majority of people we work with, may be doing that, and that to me is the obvious reactions. But I would say 50% of people have no GI symptoms, and they just have like dizziness or vertigo from POTS. They have
Mhm.
mast cell type reactions or histamine reactions. They may even have asthma type reactions or rashes. Talked to somebody about rashes just yesterday about this. And pain, chronic
Yeah.
pain, or
Huge.
even recurrent episodic episodes of pain.
Mhm.
And so acne,
Yeah.
acne and skin is big, right? Not just rash, but like acne, right? And for Jonathan, psoriasis, not even gut symptoms. He didn't have any gut symptoms with dairy. It was like flaking, itchy skin type
Yeah.
issue, right?
So this is what I love about the data is because it gets people to think bigger, right? It gets people to think bigger. Number one, it gives people more choice. But number
Mhm.
two, when you do have a profile like Rose did yesterday,
Yeah.
she's good. She was like, well, I'm dairy light. Do you think that after we did that review that she's ever going to have, oh, well, I'm just going to have a little bit of milk. I'm just going to have a little bit of ice cream. I'm just going to have,
But
because she has the data now
here's
and
my
no.
prediction for Rose, which is why I'm telling Rose, you know who, thank me later on this one. Is that so? I deal with people, and we deal with people where I'm in chronic pain. I have neuropathy. I have Raynaud's, and they have it 24/7. Or they have, it's been an ongoing thing. They don't realize it's linked to, let's say, in Rose's case, dairy products, and they're quote unquote either gluten light or dairy light based on should or shouldn't. But now they actually have a data piece that says she can't do any dairy whatsoever. And do you know how much dairy it'll take to flare up her symptoms? Just literally, like, same with gluten, a fingernail full. A fingernail full. That's really it. And that can trigger a major inflammatory reaction. And here's the cool thing is already Rose's energy and brain fog levels clearing night and day. I mean, we've been working with her less than a month. And that was the one that she shared last week was my brain fog is already starting to clear up. And then my prediction for Rose and for any of you out there who can relate to this story is now that she has data, she's going to have the confidence to say, I'm going to say hell no to all dairy products. And I'm going to be like, don't just take, it's not your woo-woo or your aura, it's your data. And my prediction is within the next 2 to 3 weeks, she's going to come back and she's going to realize all these symptoms that she's had for so long, let's say Raynaud's with the arteries and pain and all that. She's going to be like, I don't understand, but like, why? But in the last 2 to 3 weeks or the last 2 to 3 months, this has disappeared, right? And that happens all the time. We see this every day. And the validity also comes when sometimes after this thing really decreases, you get accidentally exposed.
Yes.
So let's talk about what happens with accidental exposure. Because now that, like, let's say somebody said it's my Raynaud's, and this is Mallory's interview that we did. And with Mallory, it was like 6-7 months later, her Raynaud's was completely gone, right? And this happens all the time, or your pot symptoms are completely gone. And then she accidentally exposes herself. I ate a gluten-free scone and didn't know that it had cream in it.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
Right? The Raynaud's comes back and she's like, oh my goodness. And so what happens is then your symptom becomes your data point and your validation that, you know what? Not only was that data accurate, but now you have additional data from your body that says, yes, Rose, you need to stay off dairy for the rest of your life by choice because you don't want this coming back ever again. And she's like, I am so happy about that my body's actually, my own symptoms are validating me so I can raise my level of confidence.
Yeah.
This is how you raise your level of confidence. Go for it.
That happened to Tasha with, I think hers is eggs. So she actually had this hip pain. I may have already told this story, but she had this hip pain that was ongoing for years. And she actually had an MRI scheduled to go see what was going on with it. And then she eliminated eggs and the pain went away. And she was like, is that a coincidence? I'm not really sure. So she kept the MRI appointment, accidentally got exposed to eggs, pain came back, canceled the MRI appointment. She had the data. She didn't need it anymore, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how certain you can be.
Well, that's what it's like to work with us in my food mapping masterclass. Because for me, like, it's a process, right? And for Kathy Canadian, she'll say process. It's a process.
It is a process.
Well, number one is that when you sign up to work with us on my food mapping masterclass, there is a bonus this week, a holiday bonus. So we're going to talk about that. Stick around till the end. We're going to talk about that, or check in the comments section right now. But number one is you're working live with us. Immersion. There's a week of immersion where you're working live with the medical team, with our nutrition team, and we got to really sort through the subtleties of all these pieces of data. When you're checking a couple hundred different foods, number one. Number two, when there's all these different variations, just as we've shown you with the dairy category alone, right? You really want you have independent like training. You need to be trained. You need to learn, you need to train, and you want to. And number two, you're working directly with us to sort through that to get extremely accurate pinpoint data, right? And that's really critical. And then finally, it's like, that's what it takes to get to the results. Because for me, being able to say, for Jonathan, for example, no to cow, but yes to sheep and goat was really important, right? And we didn't even bring in the piece, which is, remember, we have to work both ends of the problem. We're dealing with food. When you're saying yes to the dress, it takes two pieces of two approaches. One is around the food sensitivities. So accurate testing is really important. And I'm going to tell you, I have tons of trainings around this. 99, well, most people don't test and they just recommend elimination diets. The doctors who do tests and some of the mail order things that you can do are not accurate. 99% of tests out there on the market for food sensitivities. Okay. So
Crappy.
crappy to the point where many functional doctors don't even use them because they're like, oh, because all the tests are crappy. They're not. They're not. There is accurate, wonderful testing available, but you got to be trained to be able to review those results accurately with people in that kind of depth that we just reviewed just with the dairy category alone. So number one, in my food mapping masterclass, we do accurate testing. And that's sent to you. Number two, you work with us to discern what that is. But the most important, number three, is this is what it takes, because the other side of this problem is what? Digestion. So I'm going to discuss how, even using Jonathan as an example, even though it's yes, let's say to dairy, to goat and sheep, and no to cow dairy, let's give you the scenario. What if he says, I ate this whole scalloped potatoes with goat cheese on it, and my stomach still hurt. My stomach still hurts. I'm still reacting to it. The test is wrong. I can't do goat cheese either. Is that true?
Well, this is like Sandy. This is like Sandy, right?
Yes.
Because Sandy, her test came up with absolutely no dairy as reactive to no dairy. But she's like, I've had to go off dairy for the last decade because it gives me so much bloating and gas and diarrhea and whatever, and just a whole bunch of bowel issues. She's like, I haven't had dairy in a decade because of that. And then we do her food testing, and nothing shows up on dairy. And she's like, is the test wrong? Because I know the data from my body is telling me that, I have this, what we come to figure out is a digestive issue with dairy. Okay. Her issue is not that she has a reaction to the protein in milk, like a reaction to whey or casein. She actually can't digest the sugars in the milk, the lactose, right? So lactose intolerance, we hear this term thrown around all the time, lactose intolerance. Sometimes that's all it is. But here's a question for you, Dr. Maggie.
Yeah.
I know the answer. You know the answer. Do people with lactose intolerance, do they have to completely avoid dairy? Do they have to say no to dairy for the rest of their life if the only problem is lactose intolerance?
But that's the issue. You have to be able to answer that. How would you know somebody's problem is only lactose intolerance if you don't have accurate data?
Right.
Because the only way she's able to make that comment is because we have literally a blood test report on all the different dairy products. And we're like, there is no issue here with the dairy. And yet every time she ate dairy products, she would have the gas, the bloating, or the diarrhea. Then it's really important that the testing result was negative. Then I can say, that's not the problem. Then I can focus on what is the problem. Wow, it's only a digestion problem. She lacks the enzyme lactase to digest the dairy. Give her some lactase with dairy. She can eat it just fine.
Yep.
That's freedom.
Yep.
Right. But it takes data to do that. It takes wisdom to do that. It takes time to actually tease these things apart, to be able to troubleshoot through this. So then there's a complete clarity and map around this.
Can I tell you how happy she was when I told her that she could buy gluten-free pizza with real cheese on it? My goodness, she was very excited.
Exactly. So that's huge, is the digestion side of this. And I take this really seriously. I don't know, like we hear this a lot, and it pains me a lot, because for me, the word food mapping system and the process is something we do, because I created the system and the process. And that's what's needed, is to deal with the digestion part of this, to deal with the data from the food allergies of this, to work directly with people on troubleshooting this to get the outcomes, right? And a lot of people out there think that they say, I've done food mapping.
Right.
I did a little of the food mapping. I'm just like, no, like you've done none of it, or you haven't done it, because how can you do something I created? Right.
If
That
you
is
haven't worked with
critical.
us,
It's
you haven't done food mapping.
Well, and that's critical for people to understand, is like there is no one out there that's addressing accurate data, live work with you, but also the digestion piece, your education around it, your confidence around it, the troubleshooting with this, to be able to bring you up to par on both of these things. That's how you end these problems with food trauma, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I wanted to bring up the holiday bonus that we have in my food mapping masterclass, and a couple things. So, by the way, where there is a drawing still, right? So, for those of you who are blowing us up in comments, keep going there. Every comment enters you for a drawing for Golden Balance, which is celebrating the 8 weeks of 8 days of holiday savings at MYMD Shop with supplementation. Now, let's talk about my food mapping masterclass. For this week only, and it ends on Cyber Monday, everybody, is there for the first time, we're taking $300 off my food mapping masterclass. There is a link in the chat for you guys to click and to look at, to learn more about my food mapping masterclass and to enroll in that. And there's $300 off happening right now, and it ends Cyber Monday. So take advantage of that. There's a link that's going to be in the comment section for you to do that. Now, if any of you have questions, because some of you are like, but I want to also work on not just food, but what about hormones? What if I have an autoimmune issue? What if it's POTS or long haul? And should that be the first place for me to start? Is that, are there other different ways to work with you? If you want to learn more, or you want to just chat with a member of our team, I'm going to put a link here in the comment section where you can just book a call with a member of our team so we can guide you, share the right resources with you, the right trainings, and see where you are. We don't know where you are, and we don't know how to help you, or if we can help you if you don't reach out and chat with us, or book a call with our team. So I want to make sure that you guys see that in the comment section. Kathy?
Yeah, well, I also wanted to talk. So one of the questions that we get a lot when people are coming into the food mapping program, or questions that we get even on the call, is, well, am I gonna take this test and find out that I've got like 50 things that I can no longer eat? And the reality is,
Oh, yeah.
usually it's only a couple of things. For
Mhm.
a lot of people, there's a couple of main ones
Oh,
that are the
oh, oh,
big issue, and everything else, yes, yes.
I have a great example of this story. Can
Ooh,
we talk about Mary from Australia?
oh, oh, yes. That's a perfect example. Yes.
Okay. This was like about a year ago. Mary is a college student who had to drop out of college for the past 2 years because her POTS symptoms was horrific. We're talking about she was 22, 23, 22, I think. And she was like passing out. She couldn't drive. Her mom had to drive her everywhere. She was dizzy. Her heart rate was going up and down, fainting, and horrible anxiety. I mean, think about scared of not just food, of going out, right? And it
Mhm.
felt like with Mary, everything that she ate made her nauseated or sick. I'm talking everything that she ate made her nauseated and sick. So she was eliminating. I mean, I think by the time we met her, she was like down to like less than 20 foods,
Mhm.
and how many people are down to like boiled chicken and broccoli or something, right? Mary was that kind of case. So very sick. Had seen every cardiologist who said, oh, you may have POTS, you may have dysautonomia, maybe it's long haul, but we don't know. And so was on this like diagnostic training for this whole 2-year period. But she knew that it was related to food. And so her mom and her enrolled her into the program, and we worked with her, and we looked at her result. Okay. And she's expecting, because she reacts to everything light up like a Christmas tree everywhere.
Mhm. Nope. One
One thing.
food.
Do you guys know what that was? Do you have any guess? And I know some of you guys were was in the program when we reviewed Mary's results, right? The one food that she was sensitive to, just one, was a health food, which is honey, just honey. Okay. And as we sat there going over the results with her and her mom, right behind her was, guess what? Kathy? You could tell.
there was a wall of honey right behind her.
Like I'm talking like 1 gallon, 1/2 gallon buckets all along the back behind her. And guess what it turns out? They own a honey farm. They are beekeepers and they own a honey farm. And that was the one food, that was it
Yeah.
that she had to eliminate.
And how long after she got rid of the honey did it take before her symptoms resolved?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
One
she's
food, 2 weeks.
One
Yeah.
food was 2 weeks, but never in a million years. And that was what I asked Mary and her mom. I said, would you have guessed in a million years that it was going to be honey? Right. And her mom's like, no, like they were just flabbergasted.
Mhm.
And, and the interesting thing is like some people would, I mean, the question does come up. Some people might think because she works in a, she's a beekeeper and she works on the bee farm, that overexposure
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
I mean, and that's a
We get
legitimate
that
question.
question.
If you guys have
Yeah.
that, if you have any questions around some of these examples, type it in chat, right?
Mhm.
Some people do ask, like, and that might occur to you is like, well, is that an occupational exposure thing?
Mhm.
Like, because she's getting exposed over and over and over again, that is it possible that she developed a really strong reaction to honey? Possibly. It's possible. Right? That being said, it's like in the allergen families, I just want you guys to know is that one of the wisdom pieces that Kathy and I talk about is in the trainings that we work with people on, there are specific food and certain categories that could be what we call super allergens,
Mhm.
where repeated exposure, if you are already genetically predisposed, can actually turn those genes on.
Yep.
So it's possible, right? But it also works the other way around, which is really interesting. As someone asked me on just earlier in the week, said, do I have to eat every single food
Mm.
on this hundreds of food list for the test result to be accurately positive? Kathy?
Can I tell you? Okay, so the biggest thing that we see all the time is we'll see coffee come up as as a real high reactivity on somebody, and 99 times out of 100, that's in a non-coffee drinker. This person,
Oh, that is so good. Yeah. Keep going.
yeah. So whoever we always make bets, right? When we see the
We do.
coffee high on someone, we're like, okay, guy, and we say this to the group: I'm gonna bet, whatever, my last dollar that whoever, because it happens all the time, is not a coffee drinker. And
Mhm.
99 times out of 100, they are not a coffee drinker and they have a high reactivity to coffee. And they're like, yeah, I don't know. My body just never liked coffee. I just never was drawn to coffee. I just
Well,
never,
this
right?
comes up to me with kids a lot.
Hmm.
Because how many people are dealing with kids with these food issues, right?
Hmm.
And they have kids who have a lot of aversions. Like, I don't want to eat this. I don't want to eat that. I don't want to eat that. I will tell you, like, at least 80% of the time, when we actually review the food mapping results and the digestion needs of that child with the parents, it always comes up like, oh, she never liked like when we put, walnuts into her this or that, or man, I noticed that her nausea is
Broccoli.
always worse in the morning because we always gave her this in the morning for breakfast.
Yeah.
It validates actually sometimes. So for me, we talked about the energy of food yesterday, Kathy, and I want to bring this up again.
Hmm.
When we eat and we consume food, to me, that is an energetic exchange, right? And just like, I can love my food and my food I can love my food and my food loves me back. I'm telling you that. And our food communicates with our immune system, our body, right? And so for me, like one of the things we lose is as we grow older and older, is we lose the data and messages our body is sending to us.
Hmm.
We suppress it. Oh, it can't be real. It can't be right. And you start to ignore it, right?
Broccoli is good for me. I should be eating more broccoli.
But there might be a reason your kid doesn't wanna eat broccoli because maybe she's intolerant of it. Maybe she can't digest the sugar in it, right? And so it's really validating when we actually go over these results, like, when someone's like, "Oh my god, no wonder I never liked coffee."
Hmm.
It really does raise the level of confidence that people have to trust what the food is telling you. Trust what your body is noticing. Raise your own level of awareness. And with the data, with the training, the education, and your growing confidence, you're saying yes to yourself.
Yeah.
You're
Yep.
saying yes to self-trust, right?
Mhm.
That's the thing. Yes to self-trust. You cannot have freedom. Okay. This is the week to road to food freedom. If you don't do anything to actually gain your level of self-trust and your own certainty here.
Mhm.
Right. So I love the fact that when we go over this and like somebody's like, I hated coffee my whole life. Well, no, you didn't just hate coffee your whole life. You actually trust what coffee is telling you, and you trust what your body is sending, the messages that your body's sending. You say, thank you, Maggie, for telling me that coffee was no good for me. I trust you and I believe you. Imagine telling your kid that. Thank you, Jody, for telling me that, you don't feel good when you eat that broccoli, right?
Yeah.
You start to actually validate instead of dismissing and annihilating the messages that your child is giving you or your own body's giving you. That in fact is truth.
Yeah. And selfishly, as an instructor, I am very, very glad that 99% of those people never drink coffee, because let me tell you, coffee is one of those things that people don't want to give up.
Yeah, I
So
get it.
I don't have to be the bearer of bad news for most people.
So, all right. So I don't want to like hold out on you guys. A couple things I just want to remind you is that this week, my food mapping masterclass, $300 off. There's a link in chat if you want to head over there, or a QR code right there to head over there. Number one. Number two, we're doing a drawing right now. And all of you that were in the comments section, you've been entered into a drawing. You still have like literally a couple seconds to get your comments in, okay? Every comment counts as an entry for a drawing for Golden Balance, okay? And Golden Balance is the doorbuster today over at mymdshop.com. And we're going to do a drawing, drum roll. One of you in the comments is going to win Golden Balance today. And the winner is, I think, from YouTube. L-DJT. You're the winner from YouTube of today's live drawing for Golden Balance. So check your comments, LDJT. You've made a ton of comments. You are the winner. And our team will be messaging you. You are the winner today of Golden Balance, everybody.
Congratulations.
I love it.
And we don't need to sing again, do we?
My dad always says, congratulations, a celebration. I don't know where that came from him. My dad does the rando thing. You're in the middle of like just standing next to him and he just breaks out into song. And typically it's like a scream. And you're like, yeah.
I struggle with that sometimes when people are talking and all these random song lyrics are running through my head. I get it. I get his pain. Yes.
I love it. I love it. All right. So, so go ahead.
I don't know if you had something else, but there was just someone else that came to mind that I wanted to mention just because it's Thanksgiving week.
Yeah.
In terms of a food sensitivity that they had. And this is one that we don't actually see that often, or at least I haven't seen that often. You've seen quite a few more tests than I have. But I wanted to talk about Kim just for a minute, because Kim's,
that's a good one.
Yeah. So Kim has a problem with turkey. Okay. Turkey is one of Kim's bigger issues in
Was it
terms
just turkey or was it also other poultry?
of other poultry as well.
I think chicken as well. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's interesting because she has POTS, and what if she didn't have that data? What if she didn't have that data about turkey, and she went and had a huge Thanksgiving meal this week with her family, enjoyed all the turkey and whatever? What are the chances that she would have a serious flare-up of her symptoms, of her POTS?
Well, she has had serious flare-ups. This is why, like, she doesn't, like, a lot of people are like, I'm scared of the holidays. I'm scared of family get-togethers. And they associate holiday eating with trauma.
Yeah.
Right. So I have people who says, I'm not even going to Thanksgiving because something about the meals every single year makes me sick as hell. Right. Yeah. So that's a classic example, because I know last year she didn't know turkey was an issue or even poultry. And I know this week she walked a mile. Right. Yeah. That's a difference between last year and this year. But also this year, Thanksgiving for Kim is going to be totally different. Right. Because she knows I'm not going to eat turkey or chicken. What's the likelihood that she can say yes to the dress, Yes to family.
Yes
Yes
to
to
the
social.
dress. Yes to the dressing. The dressing.
Right. I love it. LDJT is still on YouTube chat, and she or he says, "Wow, awesome. Thank you so much. We'll be reaching out to you, LDJT, winner of Golden Balance." All right, everybody. I think that is a wrap for us. Now, schedule for this week. This is the road to food freedom this week. I am going to be spending time in the kitchen. Okay. So tomorrow at noon, I will be in the kitchen making my gluten-free, dairy-free, vegan, delicious pumpkin pie. So join me in my kitchen tomorrow at noon. If you're not already subscribed on YouTube, make sure you go look under Maggie UMD and go and subscribe to that channel and ring the bell so you get notified. I can't wait to be in my kitchen and share my kitchen with you and my love for cooking. To me, cooking and also talking about food, preparing food, talking about food, teaching about food, and eating food to me are all my love languages. It's literally is the energetic exchange I have. It represents how I share my love with the world. So I'm super excited to be in my kitchen tomorrow. And I think I'm going to get my husband to join me to help so we can make the pie together with you. So I'm
That'll
excited.
be fun.
I'm going to see you guys in my
I
kitchen.
love seeing the two of you working together. Yeah.
Well, the other day on the mastermind call, while we were working with clients, I was in the back already making my dinner, and I think Kathy was watching Jonathan and I we were there was a giant walk.
Like a little dance.
I'd be like off somewhere, and he's like, it's like right arm, left arm.
It was very well coordinated. Yeah.
There was a lot of comments afterwards. People were like, "What just happened there?" No walk will be involved in the baking of this pie, I promise you.
Here we go.
All right, everybody. That's a wrap. And if you guys can give me a boom in chat if you enjoyed this. And also write down, what is one big takeaway that you have from this live? Give me one takeaway from this live today. That'll be really awesome. I'll see you guys tomorrow in the kitchen, everybody. Thank you.